Okay, for our next example, I will create a display of product details using property binding. So just like earlier, we will create a new template, property binding to that component.html. And after creating the template, we will change the template URL into the name of the newly created HTML template. So it should be property binding to that component.html. And I will save it. It's showing an error. Property binding to property binding to. It's in here, the app.property binding to app module.ts. Okay. Now the problem is gone. You just need to save the app module.ts all over again if ever you encounter that kind of error. Okay. Then go back to the demo. Inside our TypeScript file, I will create new variables. So first, I will create the image URL. I'm just gonna leave it blank for now. And then product name as an example. And then the color is, let's say it's red. And then is disabled is equivalent to boolean value of false. Um, Wait for a second. I'll pull out a link for the image. You can pull out any link that you want. For me, I will find some Angular images in the browser, in the Google Chrome, so that it can display something later. Okay, then I'll save it. Now it's there. And afterwards, we will go to our property binding to .component.html, and then we will create a div and img, and using the brackets again, we will create src is equivalent to the variable of the image URL that we created. So it's img URL, and then we just need to put that alt image and save it. As you can see, it's now displaying the Angular image that I pulled out in the internet. Now we will create a h2 with a style color. Style dot color is equals to color, the variable that we created earlier. Then we will interpolate the product name so that it can populate in the user interface. Then, as you can see, the product name is showing and its color is red, because in the variable earlier, the color that we declared should be red. And then next, we'll go back to the property binding to that component.html. Then we will create a button with a disabled function, and it is gonna be dependent on the variable that we created called is disabled add to cart. Here, the button is working because the value of the is disabled variable in our TypeScript file is false. So as if you read it, the button should be disabled if the value of the variable is disabled is true. But as we can see in the TypeScript file, the value of the is disabled button is false. So if we change it to true, the button here is now disabled and you can't click it anymore. So imagine this: if you're gonna create a website with a theme of online platform shopping, this is gonna be a big use wherein it's gonna be easier for you to access and create some user interface, but maybe using some APIs and not a hard-coded uh, data inside your TypeScript file. because right now we're just doing the hard-coded datas, because in this tutorial we'll focus on the basics and not on the APIs. In our next example, I will try to demonstrate a data inside an array so that you can also imagine how to use property binding in an array so that you will have the idea that using property binding is much better than using interpolation. But you can always mix them together so that it's going to be easier for you. Thank you.